I welcome you all for this webinar on AWS Data Engineering. Okay, so this is basically a demo session that we are going to discuss what are all the content that is going to be discussed with respect to this bootcamp. Okay, so this bootcamp will be for 40 to 45 sessions. It is a very concise one, up to the point, totally 100% practical oriented. Okay, just focusing on the concepts that are really required in order to make you a very good data engineer and data analyst with respect to the AWS portfolio. With respect to the AWS portfolio. Okay, so here what we are going to discuss is we are going to discuss a couple of things. What am I? Okay, what is something that we are going to learn in this particular AWS data services? Okay, and what are the other competitors that we are having for this AWS? All those particular things we are going to see. Okay, so kindly be patient with the way the lecture is going to go. Okay, and accordingly, what I want to do is that in case if you have any questions, you are most welcome to answer those to ask those particular questions at the end of my lecture, and then I will patiently answer all those particular questions. Okay, before you make your choice in order to emerge as a data engineer or a data analyst within AWS platform. Okay, so before we go into this one, I am Ravi. Okay, who provides the pioneer online training in data engineering, data analytics, machine learning, and artificial intelligence in all these particular platforms. So that is Databricks, GCP, Snowflake, Azure, and AWS. Okay, Azure and AWS. I try to provide these particular things basically. Okay, now in this one, what we are going to do is we are going to see, let me start the slide here. We are going to see what is this AWS data engineering and data analytics. Okay. What are the overview of your AWS data services that we are going to learn? Like AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. Okay. Which is a pioneer in the cloud computing arena. This is one of the major cloud service providers. Cloud service providers, and with respect to AWS, you have this Azure, you have your Google Cloud, you have your Google Cloud Platform, and other things are also there that provides you these particular things also as well. But predominantly, AWS is the pioneer from the last couple of decade and a half. This is the pioneer, and it you name from pin to plane, whatever all the services that you name, it has got it into its portfolio. That means that whether you name the database, it has its one. It has the DevOps, it has that one. It has the testing, it has the AI, it has the machine learning, it has whatnot. Even if you're geocentric satellites, it has that one. Even if you want to work with the Bitcoin, it has that one. Even if you want to work with the IoT devices, it has got this one. So it has got all this amount of so many services within the cloud that can provide. It has got almost 300 plus services that are available. Okay, but now what we'll be focusing on is that we'll be focusing on only on this AWS data services. Okay, so while we are going to focus on this AWS data services, what we are going to have is that we are going to have some core five services that are going to be there. What are those core five services? One is anybody who wants to enter into this data services, they need to have the compute. Okay, they need to have the storage, they need to have the network, they need to have the security, okay, as well as they need to have this database. So these services are nothing but the foundation pillars on which you'll be able to use all those particular other services. Okay, so this data engineering course, what we are going to discuss is basically meant for making you professionally ready into this data engineering paradigm. So how this is going to start, we'll be seeing in this one here. So we want to build an end-to-end enterprise data strategy. We want to build an end-to-end enterprise data strategy. Okay. Within this end-to-end enterprise data strategy, what we are going to build, we are going to have this data services. Okay. And ultimately, at the end, what you're going to have here, you're going to have your reports and analysis that need to be produced. We need to have these reports and analytics that need to be produced. Okay. So when we want to have these reports and analytics that need to be produced, what is something that we are going to do in between? Okay, between these data sources and between these people's apps and devices, what you're having here, these are all the things that we are going to see here basically. Okay, so when we go into this one, storage is the gravity for all your cloud applications, as I have told you, right? Anything that you want to have, you need to have the storage. Okay, so all the data that is generated across all your devices in terms of the IoT devices, the applications, the sensors, and all these particular things, what you need to have is that you need to have this particular data. And the data is not only in the relational form, but the data is there in your unstructured form, as well as the data also exists within your semi-structured form also as well. So that's why storage we need to have. Okay. With respect to this particular storage, what we do is that we have a type of storage that is nothing but your data lake. What is this data lake here? This data lake is nothing but a dumping area where you can have the option of putting all your information, where you can have the option of putting all your information into this particular place. So we are going to work on this particular data lake concepts in this particular place here. Okay. And then once we have this data that is there in your data lake, then what we need to do is that we need to use the right tools for the right job without manually copying the data around. So that's why AWS has got a lot of data engineering and data analytical tools that we can use for the purpose of working with that particular data. Okay. And one more thing, what we need to have is that we need to have this better insights. These insights is something like your analytics that we want to do, and then coupled with respect to this security. So these are all the things that we are going to focus in this particular curriculum. So we need to ingest the data, and we need to process that data, and then we need to analyze this data basically. Okay. So all these particular things, what you are having here, will be having this one here basically. So when you're going to have all this data in terms of petabytes or terabytes of data, you'll be having this volume, the velocity, the variety, and the speed at which you try to get that particular data, and the value of the data, and the visualization in which you want to produce all this particular data is going to be of a great matter in this particular case. So that's why. So in this entire AWS data engineering paradigm, what we do is that we will only talk about this particular data in this particular pattern. We only talk about this data with respect to all these particular features that we are going to use in this particular case. Okay. Now here in this one, what we are going to discuss is we'll be talking about this data ingestion. What is this data ingestion here? Bringing the data into the system for storage and analysis. When the data is being generated by so many sources, what we do is that we try to bring that particular data using this data ingestion. For this particular case, we try to use this AWS data sync and then AWS data migration service that we use from bringing all your data from all your on-premise and from the internet into this cloud. We try to use this in data ingestion we use. Okay. The second thing that we are going to use is nothing but your storage. Once you are bringing all this particular data, uh, Prabhakar, where should we store that particular data? For the purpose of storing this particular data, we need to have this storage. The storage is nothing but your data lake storage that we are going to use. Okay. We bring all this data and then we keep it here. Okay. Once we bring all this data and then once we keep it here, the next thing what we do is that we need to do all these transformations, right? Because raw data cannot be used as it is in the other formats. Okay. So while we are trying to run this particular raw data, we need to use a lot of transformations. Okay. For the purpose of using those transformations, we'll be focusing on the very popular tool in the market. That particular popular tool is nothing but your AWS Glue. This is the tool that we are going to use. Okay. Similarly, for the purpose of creating an analytical tool, analytical data warehouse into this particular AWS, will be using something called as the Redshift. We are going to use Redshift. So I'm just introducing the terms. I'm talking about your S3 in the form of your data lake. I'm trying to talk in the terms of your glue, which is nothing but your ETL or ELT, extract, transform, and load, or extract, load, and transform that we are going to use. Then we are going to load the data in the form of this data warehouse. Okay. Once we load the data into the data warehouse, then we want to use that particular data for your effective reporting and analysis. Okay. For the purpose of doing your effective reporting analysis, what we do is that we have these services like Amazon Athena and then Amazon QuickSight. These are the two tools that we are going to use for this particular purposes. Okay. Finally, to integrate all these particular things, we'll be focusing on this application integration. That is nothing but your Lambda, Event Bridge, and then MQ series. We are going to use them here basically. Okay. In the orchestration, we'll be using something called as a very important function, which is nothing but your AWS step functions that we are going to use. And then from this particular monitoring part, we'll be focusing on this particular AWS CloudWatch. And when you're trying to focus on your entire data engineering pipeline, okay, it starts from the ingesting the data, okay, and from there it starts with transforming the data, okay, and then we store the data in the data warehouse, then we store the data in the data warehouse, then we try to collect the data for your reporting and analysis, and then we try to integrate all these particular applications, and then we try to monitor these particular things. So these are all the different AWS data services that we are going to use for your AWS data engineering and analytics in this particular case, basically. Okay. Now, when you go to the next thing, what you are going to do is that where should I start? Where should I end? In the whole course, Prabhakar, you are following, right? In the whole course, where will we start? We start from this data. Where is something that we are going to end? We are going to end in this particular answers and insights.
Yes, Ravi Gaurav. Thank you.
Yeah, we are going to start with the data. We are going to end with this particular answers and insights. But in between, these are all the things that we are going to do. What are the processes that we are going to do? This is the processes of data engineering and data analytics. In terms of we ingest and collect that particular data. Once we collect the data has to be stored in a particular storage, not only in the relational databases, but the data has to be stored in the form of your data lakes and other places basically. Then we need to process and analyze this data here itself. Then we need to consume and analyze that particular data. And while we are trying to consume and analyze that particular data, we need to provide insights to that particular data also as well. This is how we are supposed to do our data engineering and data analytics bootcamp. Okay. So while we are going to do this one, you can be able to see here. We'll start with the business case. What answers I need to do from this particular data? Okay. The second thing what we do is that then we try to find out this particular data and then proceed with all these particular patterns in order to collect the data, apply all your ETL patterns, store the data, and then apply all your ETL transformations and all to process your data and then use your data for your reporting and analysis insights in this particular case. This is the end to end what we are going to do in this particular pattern. Okay. While you are going to do one, see here what is going to happen here. When you are trying to do your big data evaluation, it starts with batch processing. Batch processing means today what we are doing, we are trying to do your nightly loads. Within these nightly loads, what we are doing is that we are trying to uh, collect all the data from the different application systems process the data, and then load the data into the different applications, right? So that is what is your batch processing. Stream processing means the data comes on continuously. Like when the data is coming from your signals and the IoT devices and all the other things, the data comes continuously. That's the place where we try to follow this particular streaming pattern. And then we have this artificial intelligence that is going to be used. So this is how this big data has been totally been evolved. Okay. When this data has been totally evolved in this particular case, what you are having here, earlier we are having something like virtual machines. These virtual machines has been transformed into this particular managed services. Don't worry, we'll be discussing everything in detail. We'll be discussing everything in detail, and then everything has been in the form of this particular serverless. See here, everything is being evolving. Data is evolving, the cloud services are also being evolved, and then finally what you're going to have is that you're going to have these many tools within AWS in order to address all the concepts that you are expected to focus on your data engineering paradigm, in order to explore all these particular concepts that you need to explore in this data engineering paradigm. Naimat, are you following, sir? Babu D and Dinesh B.
Yes.
Yes.
So everything is evolving. What is evolving here? This is the thing that we need to do. Okay, for doing this particular things, everything is evolving here. The data has been evolving here. The cloud service providers are really evolving here, basically here, and then the tools and technologies that we need to use for using all these particular things are also rightly being evolved. Okay, when all these things are being evolved, what we need to decide, the big data challenge is there. Why should we use these tools? How should we use these tools? What tools should I use? And then is there any reference architecture? Ante in Azure data engineering or AWS data engineering, when you're having something like hundreds and hundreds of tools that are really available. For example, let me start with something like AWS. Okay, when you go on to this particular AWS, let me show you one thing here. 1 minute. Here, when I open this one here, okay, go to this console. I try to open this one, console home.
Yeah, console home is already present, right?
Yeah, you go to this service. See here, these many services are present here. See, compute, you have these services. Containers, you have these services. Developer tools, you have these services. End user computing, you have these things. Interneting, you have these things. Machine learning, you have these many things. Okay. And again, when you go to your robotics, you have these many things. RoboMaker. When you go to the satellite, you have this particular thing. This is what is stated as pin to plane. These are all the things that you're having here. So when you have these many services that we are having here, as from the data engineer and the data analyst perspective, you need to really understand why these many services are existing. Okay, and how to use these particular services. Now, AWS is not only for data engineering, right? AWS is for DevOps, AWS is for testing, AWS is for AI, AWS is for database, AWS is for everything. Okay, in such a case, for my data engineering perspective, what are all the tools that I need to use? Okay, and finally, is there any reference architecture that I need to follow? These are all the things that you are going to have with respect to the big data, what you are going to have here. Okay. Having said that, there are something like there are some architectural principles that are going to be there. One of those architectural principles are something like decoupled systems. Can anybody tell me what is a decoupled system? What is a decoupled system?
So, storage is different from compute, sir.
And in the case of the decoupled system, everything is different. Everything is silo, right, Imran?
Yes, sir.
Everything is silo and everything is loosely coupled. Okay. There won't be
Right.
anything something like whenever there is a tightly integrated system, what happens if something fails, the entire system will crash. But here, this is not the case. Data is separate,
You mean to say there is no dependency for each piece
Yeah.
of data?
There is no dependency for any of the component of the application, basically. That's why
Okay.
it's decoupled systems, basically. Yes, sir.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So processing is different. The way you try to store the data is different. The way you analyze the data is different here. So they are not at all interconnected systems. Basically, they are disparate systems or disconnected systems. But we try to connect them with the help of the processes. Basically, okay. So we want to use the right tool for the right job. So in this particular boot camp, you're going to see how you're going to use these right tools for the purpose of doing this particular right jobs. You're going to see them, okay? And then you're going to manage this managed and serverless services. What are these two things you'll be seeing in the sessions, basically, okay? And you're going to have something like log-centric design patterns. Means that everything what we do will be recorded. It will be tracked so that you can go to those particular tracking and then see what exactly has changed since where is the error and what is the root cause of that particular error. You should be in a position to find out, okay, all these particular things that you need to do. And finally, you need to be cost conscious when you have something like data, in the sense that you should not be ending with big cost. Finally, you need to make sure that all your applications should be enabled for your AI, that is artificial intelligence and machine learning enabled applications, are the applications that you need to develop. These are all the things that we need to focus when you're trying to create a data engineering architecture or a data engineering pipeline. So that means that in the case of an AWS data engineer, or else in the case of the AWS data analyst, you are expected to build such a type of this architectural pipelines and then use those reference architectures in order to make this data consumed for the different types of your reporting applications. That's what you need to do it here, basically. So for doing this thing, what you do is that we try to have this data, we collect the data, store the data, process and analyze the data, and then consume the data. Then you're going to have the answers. So as a data engineer, you take the data, and then as a data analyst, what you need to do is that you need to provide these particular answers with respect to these particular pipelines. Vijay Kumar Garu, are you following what is going on here?
Yes, Ravigara. Yes.
Yeah, that's what we do here. Okay, so where shall we start? What to expect from this 2 and 2.5 years of bootcamp is that we, for the purpose of collection, we'll be using a lot of services. For storing the data, we'll be using a lot of services. For processing and analyzing the data, we try to use a lot of services. And for the purpose of consuming the data, we try to use these particular services here. These are all the services that we are planning to learn in this particular bootcamp. Okay, so while learning this particular bootcamp, it starts from here. You have your data sources. You have your data in the form of your relational databases, or else you have the data in the form of this DynamoDBs, basically. Okay, once you have this particular data, then what we need to do here, we need to bring all that particular data into this S3. What is this S3 here? This S3 is nothing but a data lake. Ingest data based on the type of data. You need to load all this particular data into this data here. What is the data that you are bringing here? You are bringing the CSV files, ORC files, Avro files, Parquet files, and then JSON files. Everything is being brought into this particular paradigm. Okay, and then store the data in its raw form. I'm not doing any transformations for doing this particular data. I'm simply storing that particular data here in this case. Naimat and Imran, I hope you are following. Shreyan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. We are trying to bring only this particular data into this data lake. So that's why what we do is that we try to do this particular ingestion. So as I have told you that there are two types of ingestion. One is nothing but your batch, and second thing is nothing but your streaming. So we start with the data sources. Then what we do is that we try to use your Lambda functions, okay, serverless functions for the purpose of and the Lambda functions that we use, and then we try to use your elastic MapReduce components. And for streaming, we try to use your Kinesis we'll be using. There is a difference between streaming and then there is a difference between batch. Streaming means that will happen during night time, and then streaming means that will happen round the clock. We use all these data ingestion paradigms for the purpose of storing your data into this data lake. So that means that we collect the data and then we ingest this particular data into this data lake. And what is the source service that we are going to use here? The service we are going to use is nothing but your S3 data source that we are going to use. S3 data source that we're using here in this particular case. S3 data source that we are to use here. This is the data lake that we want to use. Within this data lake also, what we do, raw data we provide. Then what we do is that we use our external transformations and processes like Glue for the purpose of processing your data once again. So whatever the processing what you're using here, the same processing is being used in order to put the data back into your processing zone. Okay, so that means that in AWS S3 storage, we are going to try to keep all this particular data like this. Okay, once this data is kept, then what we do is that for maintaining all this particular metadata, we try to use something like a Glue data catalog that we are going to use here. The data catalog for maintaining all your metadata here. And this is the place where we are trying to use these particular tools for the purpose of processing this particular data. Okay, then what we do is that once all the data has been processed, we keep all this particular data into the data warehouse, and the data warehouse, what you're having here is nothing but your Redshift, Redshift data warehouse. So that's why I have told you in the modern data engineering platform, what you're going to have, you're going to have your data lake as well as you're going to have your data warehouse also as well, both complementing each other for the purpose of doing your data analytics and data engineering paradigms. Jagdish, are you following here, Andy? What is going on here?
Yeah, clear, Andy. Yeah, please.
Yeah, this is going on here. Once you have your data that is present in the data warehouse, then I'll start using this particular data analytics. What are the data analytics that I use? I try to use this particular Athena. Then I also have something like Fixite that I can use. These are all the tools like Tableau, Power BI, okay, and ClickView, Spotfire, and Cognos and Business Objects. These are all the tools that we use for the purpose of trying to do this reporting and analytics. Okay, so for all this particular process that you are happening here, what we need is that we need to have something like a log monitoring platform that should be there. So that log monitoring platform, what we'll be doing is that we'll try to have this particular log monitoring platform with the help of your application integration that we use. Like these are all different pieces I have told you, right? Decoupled systems. What do you mean by decoupled systems? Glue is a decoupled system, EMR is a decoupled system, and Lambda is a decoupled system. But when we want to start integrating these particular applications, I need to focus on this particular application integration also as well. Okay. While we are trying to focus on this particular application integration, we'll be using this SQS, simple queue service, simple notification service, and then event bridge. These are all the three things that we are going to use in order to integrate all these particular applications. Along with these things, we also need to have something like orchestration. Like I need to make sure that the data flows from the left to the right in a sequence. So for doing such type of orchestration, we'll be using something like your step functions that we'll be using. We'll be using something called as the step functions that we use in order to provide this end-to-end data flows in this particular case. Okay, once this is done, for monitoring all these particular things, we'll try to use something called as this CloudWatch, the logging mechanism in order to do all these particular things. So in case Prabhakar Karu, if your question is what is something that we are doing in this AWS data engineering, this is what we are going to do in this data engineering in the form of your reference architecture.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
so if you go back to the previous slides, I have told you like I have a reference architecture, right? What is that reference architecture? Go back and then see here. decouple systems, integrate them. Right job for the right job here. I told you for batch processing, we'll be using something. For streaming, we'll be using something. For data warehouse, we use something. For data lake, we use something. For analysis and insights, we'll be using something. As well as for monitoring, we'll be using something. For orchestration, we are using something. For application integration, we are using something. So we try to use this particular right tools for this particular right job, say in this case. And then I told you like I want to build this managed and serverless applications. Lambda, this Glue, all these particular things are serverless applications that we do here. And then log-centric applications. That means that I need to build all these particular monitoring applications for the purpose of developing these things. That's the reason I go with this particular logging things that we use here. That is what is your immutable logs that is created in the form of your CloudWatch that we'll be doing here. And then AI and ML enabled applications that you'll be building here. So with respect to this architectures and with respect to your reference architecture, we are going to work in this particular platform in order to build a step-by-step architecture of your AWS data engineering and data analytics in this particular course here. Basically, we do a step-by-step in order to do all these particular activities here. So that's why first thing what we do is that we try to prepare all this raw data for the consumption. The raw data is going to be stored within this data lake, and we try to do something like either ELT or ETL process using your Glue or using your Lambda for the purpose of doing your ingestion and then creating your curated data sets within this data lake on this AWS. That is something that we are going to create. Once that is being created, then what we do is that we try to use the different paradigms like Glue, EMR, Redshift, and all those particular things we use for the purpose of producing all your reporting and analysis. Like if you are a data scientist and a data engineer, we use these things. If you are a business reporting, we try to use your Tableau, Fixite, and then MicroStrategy. We use these particular things here. Okay. And finally, what we'll be doing is that I'll be using, when you are having the data in the data lake, I try to do your traditional and the real-time data movement. I use this analytics. I use this machine learning using your data lake, just like the data lake, what you have seen in Azure. We'll be using this data lake option for the purpose of doing all these particular reporting activities here. So different tools for different users solving different problems. That's what we do. So we try to use all these particular tools in order to take up this particular career here, this particular Azure data engineering and data analytics paradigm. So this is what we are going to do in this particular pattern. Okay. Any questions from anybody? Please let me know.
So Ravi, so hello.
Sir, Chapani.
What is the infrastructure language we are going to use? Terraform, or how are you building all these sources?
We'll be using Python and basically we'll be using Python.
No, yeah, and Python is for okay for your for lambdas and all, but I'm talking about the resources building.
Resources building, see, we directly use the resources that we are having. Otherwise, what we do is that we have something like cloud formation templates that we use.
Oh yeah, that's what I must want to ask. Cloud
Yeah.
formation or Terraform? That's what I.
Yeah, we use your cloud formation templates in the form of your YAML extensions that we use
Yeah.
for the purpose of launching all these particular resources and basically.
Yeah,
yes.
the infrastructure you need to build, right? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Is it a Terraform or a cloud formation? So you're using native
Templates we'll be using for building these things basically. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir, Ravi sir.
Yeah, tell me, sir.
Sir, for like implementing this ETL process, like what data set you will be using?
I'll be using Glue.
Data set itself.
Data sets I'll be taking so many data sets, as I told you, right? You remember? I'll show you, right? In S3 Lake, I'll be using these Sparky files, JSON files. Okay,
Yeah.
files. Those are all the different data sets we'll be using for each and every scenario. We'll be working out, sir, here basically.
Like actually, sir, like thing is that like I want to process the data, no? So in that transformation, like you will be getting the raw data. Raw data is actually like from where you are getting that raw data. What will be the size? That's what I'm asking actually, so that we will apply all those techniques.
Gigabytes of data will be processing, and gigabytes of data will be processing basically.
Yeah.
In gigabytes.
Okay. Okay. Oh, like what is the source, sir, to get those gigabytes of data?
I have this Kaggle datasets where I'm the subscribed
Kaggle.
datasets.
Okay. Kaggle you are using.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And sir, in this ETL process, when it comes to the a user inside, like visualization is required. Like you are also teaching how this database and that like user visualization modules will be get connected,
Of course,
integrated, and
QuickSight we are going to use in this one. QuickSight.
okay, sir. Like yeah, actually, sir. The content is good, no doubt. It's very impressive. Like, will it like, is it possible to complete all these things in within 2.5 months, sir?
Of course.
Sir, may I know like how much AWS like is charging you per session? Like what, like you are utilizing the resources. So how much bill you are getting, sir?
See, Azure is a free trial. Sir, AWS is a free trial. Let me show you here.
And Ravi, one more thing. Are you using the project any data pipeline tools for the ETL purpose?
Yeah, I told you, right? We are using Glue. Glue is an ETL pipeline that we are using.
Yeah, data pipeline. Or in the project development, are you using IntelliJ or anything?
We'll be using the resources that are there proprietary to Amazon. We are going to use only. We'll be using this Cloud9 shells that we're going to use here.
Okay.
Yeah. No other on-premise tools that we're going to use. Everything is going to be cloud-based.
Yeah.
See, Amazon comes up with a free trial account. Within that particular free trial account, you can try to use them basically, as I have shown you here, right?
Yes, sir. Like you are using cloud formation, no, sir. Like in order to get the resources. So when we go for the cloud formation like implementation, like we are deploying it, so we need some resources. So for the resources, it might be charging, no? So that's what I'm
That's what it gets charged. I am showing you here, right? This gets charged basically.
okay. Yeah, like so
All these things get charged basically.
yeah, yes, sir. We should be get charged because Amazon won't be giving all these like
Nothing
freely.
will be free, sir. Nothing will be free here basically.
But even though we have like trial, but still if we use the resources, they
Trial
charge.
behind some free trial limits, sir. When we exceed those particular limits, it gets charged automatically.
Yeah, that's what, sir. I asked like monthly how much you are paying.
I'm paying around $20 to
month.
$30 per month. I'm paying basically.
Okay, that's what my question, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah. Any other questions?
Sir, we'll be getting the sample dataset also for practice, right, sir?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Okay.
We'll be doing
So Python is not taught in this course, right?
Python will not be taught. So the Python will be taught in case of the Lambda. The Python will be taught in terms of PySpark, wherever you are using. And the Python will be taught in terms of your EMR, Elastic MapReduce. That is the places where it will be taught. But not as the whole thing we are not going to talk about. But with respect to PySpark, we'll be touching in and outs of Python at that point of time.
Okay.
Because this is not a Python programming course, right? This is an AWS
Yeah, no,
data
because
engineering.
people don't have Python knowledge.
Yeah.
They difficult for
Yeah.
them, right? So
Exactly, yeah. But I'll be providing you the learning resources where you can follow and then try to make yourself at a basic comfortable level in order to get that particular Python. I'll be able to help you out. That's not
yeah. So glue is a service, but we still need to write a script for that, right? To execute that.
No, even
Script has
without
to be-
writing the script, you have something like
Yeah.
Visual Studio in Glue that you'll be able to manage those transforms without writing the code also as well, Jagdish Karan.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Not that you need to be a hardcore programmer in Python for doing those things.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll show you this one right away. See here.
Hmm.
When you go to this glue, is there any glue here? Yeah. When you go to this AWS glue, you have something like Visual ETL. You see here, Visual ETL.
Yeah.
This is the thing where you can use directly for the purpose of creating those particular jobs directly here in glue. There are so many jobs that have been developed. Yeah. You can try to create a Visual ETL here. When you create the Visual ETL, in the background, the code will be written basically like this.
Hmm. Yeah, you said the sources. Okay, then
Yeah.
confirmation target. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
That can be written. So you can have this script, and then this is the place where the script will be written also as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Sir, this glue is like processing like ETL job.
Glue is processed with ETL. It's an ETL tool, sir, basically.
Okay, that means it might be using data warehouse to load the content.
Glue is an ETL tool that will process the data in order to load the data into a Redshift or something else, basically. Yes.
Okay, it will take the Redshift, okay, to load the data.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Where does data lake come here, Andy?
Erani?
Where does data lake come here?
Yeah, data lake is that S3. I told you, right? S3 is nothing but the data lake. This S3 you see here.
Sir, in this process, I think like in Glue, when we are like doing the ETL process, then it should take the raw data from that S3 lake, right?
You remember I told you here what I told you here?
Yeah, that's what again I said.
When
How
you have
to
this
do that?
data lake, you have the raw zone, and within this raw zone, you have your external business transformations. You use Glue for the purpose of loading the data into the process zone. This is the place where you use the Glue also as well. So that is S3. And then you can use the Glue for the purpose of loading the data into this Redshift also as well. See this one? Glue is there everywhere. Jagdish Sir and Kranti.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Glue is there everywhere.
Yeah, nice, sir. Okay, thank you.
Glue will be doing a lot in this course.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, this is Jagdish. I do have one doubt. Actually, recently I got one offer a data engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm a Python developer. They have moved to data engineer.
Okay.
Actually, my requirement is Python. Python is not required for me. And Airflow and AWS, Blue, then this is my requirement. So, and the sequence also is there.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you covering these subjects?
Yes, sir. We are going to cover in depth of this particular subject in this course. Yes.
Oh, okay. Sequence also is there, right?
SQL, SQL.
Yes, SQL.
Yeah, SQL is going to be the part. Yes.
Okay,
See,
fine.
Jagdish, we don't do a separate SQL course to tell you select staff from EMP.
No, I don't want. No,
we
I'm
don't
not
do that one. But
that course.
wherever the place where SQL is going to be used, we use that SQL in Redshift. We'll be using. We'll be using the SQL in this Athena. We'll be using. That is the places where we are going to touch those SQL scripts over there. Basically, we'll be doing this.
Wow. Sure. Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
So I have one question.
Yes, sir.
So now I'm from the data analysis background. I don't have any knowledge in ETL. So is it necessary to have to complete this course to have the ETL knowledge?
This course is we are going to provide you everything basically. What is really required? This course will provide you everything basically, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So, yeah, please go ahead. Anything else, guys?
Sir, there are like many applications that we are covering. So, are we going to make expertise out of all these applications or anything specific that will have like larger portion we would be covering for which specific application and for which applications we are going to get expertise out of all these
I told you
services?
one thing. What I told you here, I told you something like, I have told you a slide here. What is the slide here? That is 1 minute. using the right tool for the job. And then why should we use, how should we use, and what tools to use. There is a place where you're going to get all the perfections, basically. That's what we are going to do it in a very smart way. Is that clear to you? We are going to follow a very good reference architecture. The reference architecture is going to help you to get all the insights about all these particular tools in order to make you a very good, efficient AWS data engineer. That's what we are going to focus on this one. Okay. So the thing is that this course, we have not yet decided the timing. Most probably by Monday or Tuesday, we'll be able to let you know the date when this course is going to start off, and the time I will let you know. And for my people like Jagdish Garu and Prabhakar Garu, we are not sure whether you'll be coming to Azure or AWS, right?
Is there way like I'm asking you like since you are subject matter expert like is there way to take parallelly both courses? Is not useful to take like that.
Confuse అయిపోతారు సార్. Confuse
Okay. అందుకే అడుగుతున్నా.
Yeah.
Okay.
Confuse అవుతారు.
I will let you know, Ravi. I mean, I'll talk to Vikin and then.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Yeah. So, Vijay Kumar Garu, how about you?
I'll talk with you. I mean, I'm in confusion right now.
No, but I myself is Azure and no second thought. Kada. When I'm seeing here like AI part, machine learning, some of the things like that's what I sense like if you can attend both, like how it is going to be helpful.
Both అయితే కన్ఫ్యూజ్ అయిపోతారు సార్. ఓకే.
Yeah, definitely I agree with you. Only
Yeah.
some of the things like AI and machine learning are some of the things I don't know whether we can cover in the Azure or not, but
అంటే
yeah.
As I have told you, right?
Yeah.
What I'll be doing is in the month of March, first week or so,
Okay.
I am planning to start this program. What is the program? Is the data science with machine learning. I'm going to start a separate boot camp.
Okay.
That doesn't fall under the category of your data engineering and data analytics.
Understood.
It is a separate thing altogether.
Mm.
So at the time, the moment once you are done with the half of the course of Azure or AWS, then that would be the time where you can focus on these things. And
I understood. Yeah, thank you.
The way we can go.
No, definitely. Like my I decided myself is I'm clear on that Azure only, no second.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, Ravigar, for all.
No problem.
That,
No
yeah,
problem at all.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'll keep you posted about the day or date when this going to start, and then we'll take it from there. Okay. Any
Sure.
other questions from anybody?
Yeah, can you hear me, Ravi garu?
Yes, sir.
Myself, Venkatesh. Yeah. So, my question is here, like, are we going to cover streaming data, right? So, where we get the streaming data? I mean, for example, like, we need to take the data from some applications, right? Say, for example,
No,
Twitter or
let me
something
tell
like
you
that.
one thing.
Yeah.
I'll be working on a Twitter application. The
Okay.
Twitter application will be continuously generating the logs.
Yes.
I'll be
Agreed.
working on a streaming application. I'll be working on a log application where we use this Kinesis data generator. Okay.
Okay.
That will be continuously emptying the logs. And we try to capture those logs with the help of this Kinesis data streams. Okay.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
That's
Like
how.
event hubs in
Yeah,
Azure, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the help of
got
your clickstream analytics also as well, we are going to emit the logs in a simulated fashion, and using those particular logs, we'll be using this Athena or this Fixite for the purpose of analyzing those particular logs also as well. We'll be doing this end-to-end applications also as well, sir, this course.
Yeah. And one more thing, like say, we need to break the structure of the data, right? So are we going to use PySpark, right? Here?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Like data frames or data structures we are going to cover.
Resilient distributed
RTS.
data frames is something that we are going to use as a part of PySpark.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
So I'm basically from Azure Data Engineer. Like I didn't know about AWS and all.
Yeah.
So I just want to learn this AWS. That's what like. Uh, is there any way to cover like Databricks here? No, right?
No. Azure Databricks is being covered over there. And one more thing is that Databricks is not that great
Not Azure,
integrated
I
with,
say everyone. Yeah.
AWS, right? It's a part and parcel of your Azure factory, basically, right? So the
Yes.
integration is not that great with respect to AWS, but if you still want, we can look into those patterns also as well.
No, it's not required, but just asking.
Yeah,
So
Out of the box,
instead of
you can do it.
out of the box, it's out of the box. I understand. So instead of using Databricks, we are using EMR, Elastic MapReduce, right?
Elastic
For
MapReduce we are going to use. Yes, sir.
yes, I understand, sir. And staging environment, like we are using S3 bucket. As my understanding, are we going to use, like, we are going to push the data? I mean, after transformation the data, we are going to push the transform data into the S3 bucket, right? So
Yeah.
is there any lake house concepts we are going to cover here, or I don't know, like lake house concept, like we have in Azure, like bronze, silver, something like that.
Databricks, we have that one. Databricks, we have that bronze, silver, and gold we have. But here we don't have those things. What we do is
Oh, okay.
we try to use this particular data lake formation that you have here. Basically, we use that one. Otherwise, we try to simulate those things with the form of your S3 bucket itself. We create a separate folders in that one, and we
Yep.
use the different tools to process or push your raw data or your consumed data and your curated data into those different zones basically here. Okay, that's how we are
Okay.
going to use. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, sir.
that's what's the plan.
Yeah, I understand, sir. Thank you.
Anything else?
Thanks, Xavier. I mean, I think.
Yeah. So I'll see you all soon, and then we'll take it from there. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Xavier.
Thank you, Ravi.